The champagne flowed like water. Crystal glasses caught the light from chandeliers that cost more than most people earned in a year. Laughter echoed through the ballroom of the Grand Lexington Hotel, mixing with the soft notes of a string quartet playing in the corner. Adriana Cole stood near the bar, camera in hand, trying to capture the perfect shot of the decorations she had spent 3 weeks planning. White roses cascaded from the ceiling. Gold accents gleamed on every table. Ice sculptures shaped like swans glittered under carefully positioned spotlights. This was her event, her design, her vision brought to life for one of the most powerful families in New York City. And she was exhausted. Her feet ached in the heels she couldn't afford but had to wear. Her black dress, simple and elegant, was the nicest thing in her closet. She had eaten nothing but coffee and half a bagel since 6 that morning. But the event was flawless, and that was all that mattered. "Excuse me." Adriana turned. A woman in a diamond necklace that could pay off Adriana's student loans 3 times over smiled at her with perfect white teeth. "Yes," Adriana asked politely. "The ice sculptures are melting near the back. Can you fix that?" Adriana bit back a sigh. "Of course. Right away." She hurried toward the service hallway, adjusting her camera strap. Behind her, the party continued without pause. No one noticed the woman who made everything perfect. No one ever did. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. Adriana returned 10 minutes later with maintenance adjusting the temperature controls. The ice swans would last another 2 hours. Long enough. She checked her watch. 9:30. The speeches would start soon. The Castellano family patriarch would thank everyone for coming. There would be toasts, more champagne, dancing until midnight. Then Adriana could finally go home, collapse on her couch, and sleep for 12 hours straight. She moved through the crowd with practiced invisibility, checking details. Napkins folded correctly, candles burning evenly, servers moving smoothly between tables. Everything was perfect, until she heard his voice. "Who planned this?" The question cut through the noise with an authority that made people stop talking. Adriana turned slowly, her stomach tightening. Dante Castellano stood in the center of the room like he owned not just the space, but the air everyone breathed. He was tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a black suit tailored so precisely it looked like it had been sewn directly onto his body. His dark hair was slicked back. His jaw was sharp enough to cut glass. His eyes, dark and intense, swept across the ballroom with the kind of focus that missed nothing. Adriana had seen him exactly twice before. Once in a brief meeting where he barely looked at her. Once in passing when he walked through her setup and said nothing. He was the youngest son of the Castellano family. 32 years old. Ruthless in business. Feared by rivals. Respected by allies. And he was staring directly at her. Adriana's breath caught. An older man beside Dante, his father maybe, gestured broadly. "Adriana Cole. She's the event planner. Young woman, very talented." Dante's gaze locked onto her. He didn't smile. He didn't nod. He simply looked, like he was memorizing every detail of her face. Then he started walking toward her. Adriana's heart hammered against her ribs. She forced herself to stand still, to look professional, to not run like every instinct screamed at her to do. He stopped 3 feet away. Up close, he was even more overwhelming. The scent of expensive cologne mixed with something darker, something dangerous. "You did this." His voice was low, smooth, controlled. "Yes," Adriana said, lifting her chin slightly. "I designed and coordinated everything." His eyes traveled slowly across the room, taking in the roses, the lighting, the tables, the sculptures. Then they came back to her. "It's flawless," he said. Her chest loosened just a little. "Thank you. How long have you been planning events?" 3 years professionally. Longer if you count the work I did in college. "And before tonight, you worked for?" "Small firms. Private clients. This is my first major contract with a family like yours." Something flickered in his expression. Interest, maybe. Or calculation. "You're very good at what you do," he said. "I try to be." His lips curved into the smallest hint of a smile. Not warm. Not friendly. Just acknowledging. "I'd like to hire you," he said. Adriana blinked. "For?" "A private event. Something smaller, more exclusive. I'll pay double your rate. Her mind raced. Double her rate would cover rent for 3 months. It would let her fix her ancient laptop. It would give her breathing room she desperately needed. But something about the way he looked at her made warning bells ring in the back of her mind. What kind of event? She asked carefully. A dinner party. 20 guests. I want it elegant, intimate, memorable. She hesitated. When? 2 weeks from now. That was tight, but doable. I'd need details. Guest preferences, dietary restrictions, venue. I'll provide everything, he interrupted smoothly. You just make it perfect. Adriana studied him. His posture was relaxed, but his eyes were sharp, watching her reaction like he was reading every thought that crossed her mind. Can I think about it? She asked. His brow lifted slightly. Surprise. Most people probably didn't ask Dante Castellano for time to think. Of course, he said. But I need an answer by tomorrow. She nodded. I'll call your office. No. He pulled a card from his inner jacket pocket and held it out. Call me directly. Adriana took the card. Heavy stock, embossed lettering, a single phone number. No address. No email. Just his name and a way to reach him. Thank you, she said quietly. He studied her for another long moment, then gave a small nod and walked away, back toward the crowd that parted for him like water around a stone. Adriana let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. The rest of the evening passed in a blur. The speeches went well. The champagne kept flowing. The ice sculptures lasted until the final guest left at midnight. Adriana stayed until 1 a.m, overseeing cleanup, making sure nothing was damaged or forgotten. By the time she finally stepped out into the cool night air, her feet were screaming and her head pounded with exhaustion. She caught a late subway home, collapsed onto her worn couch, still wearing her dress, and stared at Dante Castellano's card sitting on her coffee table. Double her rate. She could really use the money. But something about him unsettled her. Not in a dangerous way, exactly. More like standing too close to a fire. Warm and magnetic, but capable of burning if you weren't careful. Her phone buzzed. A text from her best friend Maya. Maya, how did the event go? Adriana, perfect. Flawless. Exhausting. Maya, did the scary Mafia family love it? Adriana, I think so. One of them offered me another job. Maya, girl. Which one? Adriana, Dante Castellano. There was a long pause. Then 3 dots appeared and disappeared multiple times before Maya's response came through. Maya, holy shit. The Dante Castellano. The one who looks like he stepped out of a dangerous perfume ad? Adriana, I don't know what he looks like in ads. But yes, that one. Maya, are you going to do it? Adriana, I don't know. The money is incredible, but... Maya, but what? Adriana, he makes me nervous. Maya, good nervous or bad nervous? Adriana stared at her phone, trying to find the right words. Adriana, I'm not sure there's a difference. She didn't sleep well that night. Her dreams were fragmented, filled with crystal glasses and ice sculptures, and dark eyes that watched her like she was the only person in the room. When she woke up at 7, groggy and disoriented, the first thing she saw was Dante's card still sitting on the table. She made coffee. She showered. She checked her bank account and winced at the balance. Then she picked up her phone and dialed the number on the card. It rang twice before he answered. Adriana! His voice was smooth, unsurprised, like he'd been expecting her call. How did you know it was me? I gave that number to one person. Her stomach flipped. Oh, have you made a decision? She took a breath. Yes, I'll do your event. Good. There was satisfaction in his tone. Can you meet me this afternoon? I'll give you the details. Where? My office. 3 o'clock. I'll send a car. That's not necessary. I can take the subway. I'll send a car, he repeated, firmer this time. Not a suggestion. A statement. Adriana's jaw tightened. Fine. See you at 3, Adriana. He hung up before she could respond. She stared at her phone, already regretting her decision. The car arrived at 2:45. A sleek black town car with tinted windows and a driver who didn't speak, just opened the door and waited for her to get in. Adriana had changed into professional clothes. Gray slacks, a white blouse, low heels she could actually walk in. Her hair was pulled back in a neat ponytail. Her makeup was minimal. She looked competent, professional, forgettable. Exactly how she liked to present herself to clients. The drive took 20 minutes through Manhattan traffic. They stopped in front of a building she recognized, a high-rise in Midtown, all glass and steel and modern architecture. The driver opened her door. 20th floor. He's expecting you. Thank you, Adriana said, stepping out. The lobby was cold and expensive. Marble floors, abstract art on the walls, security that checked her ID twice before letting her through. The elevator ride felt too long and too short at the same time. When the doors opened on the 20th floor, she stepped into a reception area that screamed power and money. Dark wood, leather furniture, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. A woman behind the desk smiled professionally. Miss Cole. Yes. Mr. Castellano is waiting for you. Through those doors. Adriana nodded and walked forward, her heels clicking on the polished floor. She pushed open the heavy wooden doors and stepped into an office that was bigger than her entire apartment. Dante stood by the windows, hands in his pockets, looking out over the city. He didn't turn immediately, and for a moment Adriana had a strange feeling she was interrupting something private. Then he turned, and his eyes locked onto hers with that same intense focus from the night before. Adriana, he said. Right on time. I try not to be late. Good. He gestured to a seating area near the windows. 2 leather chairs, a low table between them. Sit, please. She sat, setting her bag down beside the chair. He sat across from her, close enough that she could see the dark stubble along his jaw, the way his suit jacket fit perfectly across his shoulders. Coffee. Water, he offered. I'm fine, thank you. He studied her for a moment, then leaned back slightly. Tell me about yourself. Adriana blinked. What do you want to know? Everything. That's not really relevant to planning your event. His lips curved. Not quite a smile. Humor me. She hesitated, then gave him the professional version. I'm 27. I studied business and design in college. I worked for 2 event planning firms before going independent 8 months ago. I specialize in high-end private events, corporate functions, and... That's not what I asked, he interrupted gently. Her brow furrowed. Then what did you ask? Tell me about you. Not your resume. Adriana's chest tightened. She wasn't used to clients asking personal questions. She wasn't used to anyone asking personal questions. Why does it matter? She asked carefully. Because I like to know who I'm working with. You're hiring me to plan a dinner party, not to be your friend. Something flickered in his eyes. Amusement, maybe. Or challenge. Fair enough, he said. But I'm still curious. Adriana folded her hands in her lap, choosing her words carefully. I grew up in Brooklyn. My parents owned a small restaurant that closed when I was 15. I put myself through college working 3 jobs. I like my work because it lets me create something beautiful, even if it's temporary. And I'm very good at staying out of the spotlight, which is exactly where I prefer to be. Dante listened to every word like he was committing them to memory. Why events? He asked. Because everyone remembers the big moments in their lives. Weddings, anniversaries, celebrations. I like being part of that, even if no one remembers I was there. I remember, he said quietly. Her breath caught. What? Last night. You thought no one noticed you. But I did. Adriana's pulse quickened. She didn't know what to say to that. Dante leaned forward slightly, elbows resting on his knees. Let me be direct, Adriana. I don't hire people I don't trust. And I don't trust people I don't understand. So yes, I want to know who you are. Not because I'm trying to make you uncomfortable, but because if you're going to work for me, I need to know you're someone who can handle discretion. Discretion, she repeated. My family's business requires privacy. The people at my dinner party are not the kind of people who appreciate attention. I need someone who can create something beautiful and then disappear without asking questions. Ah, there it was. The real reason he wanted her. Adriana met his gaze steadily. I understand discretion, Mr. Castellano. I've worked with private clients before. I don't gossip. I don't take photos without permission. And I certainly don't ask questions that aren't my business. Good. He sat back, satisfied. Then we'll work well together. He pulled a folder from the table beside him and slid it across to her. Guest list, dietary restrictions, preferences. The event is at my penthouse. I'll give you full access to plan and set up. Adriana opened the folder, scanning the details. 20 guests. A mix of dietary needs. Preferences that lean toward Italian cuisine with modern touches. This is doable, she said. When can I see the space? Now, if you'd like. She looked up sharply. Now! My penthouse is 10 minutes from here. We can go over everything today, and you can start planning immediately. Adriana hesitated. Something about going to his home felt like crossing a line she wasn't ready to cross. But this was business. Just business. All right, she said. Let's go. His penthouse was everything she expected and nothing she was prepared for. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. Sleek modern furniture. Art on the walls that probably cost more than she'd earn in her lifetime. A kitchen that looked like it belonged in a magazine. And it was spotless. Not lived in spotless. Actually spotless, like no one really spent time here. You have a beautiful home, Adriana said politely. It's functional, Dante replied, shrugging out of his jacket and draping it over a chair. He rolled up his sleeves, revealing strong forearms. I don't spend much time here. Where do you spend your time? Working. She believed that. He gave her a tour, showing her the dining room where the event would be, the kitchen she could use, the space for servers to move through. Adriana took notes, measurements, photos. Her mind was already working through logistics, color schemes, table settings. What's your vision for this? She asked, turning to him. He was leaning against the doorway, arms crossed, watching her work. I want it to feel exclusive, he said. Intimate but powerful. These are people who have everything. I want to give them an experience they can't buy anywhere else. Adriana nodded slowly. I can do that. I know you can. That's why I hired you. She looked up at him, and for a moment, they just stared at each other across the empty dining room. The late afternoon light streamed through the windows, casting everything in gold. The city hummed far below, and Adriana felt something shift in the air between them. Something dangerous. Something she should absolutely ignore. I should go, she said quickly. I have a lot of planning to do. I'll have my driver take you home. That's not. It's late, he interrupted. And I don't let people leave my home without making sure they get where they're going safely. Adriana wanted to argue, but the look in his eyes told her it wouldn't matter. Fine, she said. Thank you. He walked her to the elevator, hands in his pockets, that same controlled energy radiating from him. When the elevator doors opened, she stepped inside and turned to face him. Adriana, he said. Yes. He held her gaze for a long moment. I'm glad you said yes. The doors closed before she could respond. And as the elevator descended, Adriana pressed a hand to her chest, feeling her heart race for reasons she absolutely refused to name. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of planning, phone calls, vendor meetings, and sleepless nights. Adriana threw herself into Dante's event with the kind of focus that left no room for anything else. She curated a menu with a private chef. She sourced rare Italian wines. She designed table settings that looked effortless but required hours of precise placement. And she tried very hard not to think about the man who hired her. Dante made that impossible. He called her every other day, not to micromanage, but to check in, to ask questions, to listen to her ideas with a focus that made her feel like she was the only person in the world. What are you thinking for centerpieces? He asked during one call. Low arrangements, Adriana said, flipping through her notes. White orchids and eucalyptus. Elegant, but they won't block conversation across the table. I like that. You haven't seen them yet. I trust your judgment. Those 4 words shouldn't have affected her the way they did. She tried to keep every conversation professional. Tried to maintain the distance she always kept with clients. But Dante had a way of slipping past her defenses without even trying. You sound tired, he said one evening, his voice low over the phone. I'm fine. When was the last time you ate something that wasn't coffee? Adriana looked at the empty coffee cup on her desk and the granola bar wrapper from 6 hours ago. I ate, she lied. Adriana! The way he said her name, gentle but firm, made her stomach flip. I'll eat later, she amended. I'm in the middle of confirming the wine delivery. The wine can wait. You can't work if you're running on fumes. I've been doing this for 3 years. I know how to manage my schedule. There was a pause. Then, quieter. I'm not questioning your ability. I'm concerned about you. Her breath caught. You don't need to be. Maybe not. But I am. She didn't know what to say to that. So she changed the subject, walked him through the updated timeline, and ended the call as quickly as she could without being rude. Then she sat in her tiny apartment, staring at her phone, and wondered why a man like Dante Castellano cared whether she ate dinner. 3 days before the event, Dante asked her to come to the penthouse for a final walkthrough. Adriana arrived at 6 in the evening, portfolio in hand, ready to finalize every last detail. Dante opened the door himself. No driver, no assistant, just him in dark jeans, and a black Henley that fit him in a way that should be illegal. "Come in," he said, stepping aside. Adriana walked past him, very aware of how close they were in the doorway, how the scent of his cologne wrapped around her like smoke. "I have the final layouts," she said, moving quickly into the dining room. "I wanted to show you the table settings before we commit to—" She stopped. The dining table was already set, not with her designs, but with an entirely different setup. Plates, glasses, candles, everything. "What is this?" she asked, turning to him. "Dinner," Dante said simply. Her brow furrowed. "I thought we were doing a walkthrough." "We are. After you eat." "Dante, I don't have time for—" "You haven't eaten a real meal in 3 days," he interrupted. "I know because I asked Maya." Adriana's jaw dropped. "You talked to Maya? She's listed as your emergency contact in the contract you signed. I called to make sure you were taking care of yourself. She confirmed you weren't." Heat flooded Adriana's face. Anger, embarrassment, something else she didn't want to name. "You had no right to do that," she said tightly. "You're working yourself into exhaustion for my event. That gives me the right to make sure you don't collapse before it happens." "I'm fine." "You're not." He gestured to the table. "Sit. Eat. Then we'll go over every detail you want to discuss." Adriana wanted to argue, wanted to tell him he was overstepping, that she didn't need anyone taking care of her, that she'd been managing just fine on her own for years. But the truth was, she was exhausted and hungry, and the food on that table smelled incredible. "Fine," she said, setting her portfolio down. "But this doesn't become a habit. Understood?" She sat. He sat across from her, the same position as their first meeting. Except this time, the lighting was softer, more intimate. This time, it felt less like business and more like something else entirely. The food was Italian. Homemade pasta, roasted vegetables, fresh bread. Simple but perfect. Adriana took a bite and nearly moaned. Dante's lips curved slightly. "Good. It's amazing. Where did you order from?" "I didn't order it. I made it." She stared at him. "You cook." "My grandmother insisted I learn. She said a man who can't feed himself isn't really a man." Adriana blinked, trying to reconcile the image of Dante Castellano, feared and powerful, learning to make pasta from his grandmother. "That's unexpected," she said carefully. "Most things about me are." She believed that. They ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Then Dante said, "Tell me about your family." Adriana hesitated. "Why?" "Because I want to know. We're not friends, Dante. You're my client. And yet here we are, having dinner in my home." She set down her fork. "What do you want from me?" He met her gaze steadily. "Honestly, I'm still figuring that out." Her heart stuttered. "That's not an answer. It's the only one I have right now." Adriana looked away, focusing on her plate. "My family isn't interesting. My parents worked hard, lost their restaurant, and spent the rest of their lives recovering from it. I have one younger brother who's in medical school. I see them once a month for dinner. That's it. Do they know what you do?" "They know I plan events. They don't know for whom." "Because they'd worry." She nodded. "They already think I work too hard. If they knew I was working for families like yours, they'd never stop worrying." Dante was quiet for a moment. Then, "They're right. You do work too hard," says the man who admits he barely sleeps. His lips twitched. "Touché." They finished eating, and true to his word, Dante let her walk him through every detail of the event. He listened carefully, asked smart questions, approved everything without hesitation. By the time they finished, it was after 9. "I should go," Adriana said, gathering her things. "I'll drive you." "You don't have to. I'm driving you," he said firmly. "It's late, and I'm not putting you in a car with a stranger." Adriana wanted to argue, but she was too tired. "Fine." His car was sleek and black, expensive enough that she was afraid to touch anything. Dante drove with the same controlled precision he did everything else. "Where do you live?" he asked. She gave him her address in Brooklyn. He didn't comment on the neighborhood, which she appreciated. It wasn't dangerous, but it wasn't Manhattan either. They drove in silence, the city lights streaming past the windows. Adriana leaned her head against the seat, exhaustion finally catching up with her. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For dinner. You didn't have to do that." "I wanted to." "Why?" He glanced at her, then back at the road. "Because I've never met anyone who works as hard as you do and still refuses to take care of herself." "I take care of myself just fine." "Adriana, when was the last time you did something just for you? Not for work, not for your family, just because you wanted to." She opened her mouth, then closed it. She couldn't remember. "That's what I thought," Dante said quietly. They pulled up in front of her building. Dante put the car in park but didn't move to let her out. "The event is in 3 days," he said. "After that, I want you to take a week off. Rest. Sleep. Do absolutely nothing. I have other clients. I'll pay you for the week. Double your rate. Just take the time." Adriana stared at him. "Why do you care so much?" He turned to face her fully, and the look in his eyes made her breath catch. "Because someone should," he said simply. Her chest tightened painfully. No one had ever said anything like that to her before. No one had ever looked at her like she was something worth protecting. "I should go," she whispered. "Adriana!" She looked at him. "I mean it. Take care of yourself." She nodded, not trusting her voice, and got out of the car. She made it halfway to her building before she heard his car door open. "Wait!" She turned. Dante was standing beside the car, hands in his pockets, jaw tight. "What?" she asked. He crossed the distance between them in a few long strides. Close enough that she had to tilt her head back to look at him. "I need to tell you something," he said. Her heart hammered. "What?" "This isn't just business for me anymore." Her breath stopped. "Dante! I know I shouldn't say it. I know you're working for me, and there are lines I shouldn't cross. But I can't keep pretending I don't notice you. That I don't think about you. That I don't want." He stopped himself, jaw clenching. Adriana's pulse roared in her ears. "Want what?" He looked at her like he was fighting himself. "More." The word hung between them, heavy and dangerous and impossible to take back. "I can't," Adriana whispered. "You're my client. This is my career. I can't risk." "I know." His voice was rough. "I know all of that, and I'm not asking you to decide anything tonight. I just needed you to know." She stared at him, heart racing, mind spinning. "Why?" she asked. "Why me?" His expression softened. "Because you looked me in the eye and treated me like a person, not a name. Because you work harder than anyone I've ever met and still find ways to make other people's lives beautiful. Because you're honest and careful and strong, and I've never met anyone like you." Adriana's eyes burned. She blinked hard, refusing to cry. "I don't know what to say," she admitted. "You don't have to say anything. Just promise me you'll think about it." She nodded slowly. "Okay." He stepped back, giving her space. "Good night, Adriana." "Good night." She walked into her building on shaking legs, and when she reached her apartment, she collapsed on her couch and pressed her hands to her face. Dante Castellano wanted more. And God help her, so did she. The night of the event arrived with perfect weather and perfect timing. Adriana had been at Dante's penthouse since early morning, overseeing every detail. The florists arrived on schedule. The chef set up in the kitchen. The servers were briefed and ready. Everything was flawless. By 6 o'clock, when the first guests were due to arrive, Adriana had done a final check of every table setting, every candle, every glass. She stood in the dining room, surveying her work, and felt a swell of quiet pride. This was her best work. She knew it. "It's perfect." She turned. Dante stood in the doorway, dressed in a sharp black suit, white shirt, no tie. He looked devastating. "Thank you," she said softly. He walked toward her slowly, eyes moving across the room. "You've outdone yourself. That was the goal." He stopped in front of her. "I have something for you. Dante, you've already paid me." He pulled a small box from his jacket pocket and held it out. Adriana's breath caught. "What is this?" "Open it." Her hands trembled slightly as she took the box and lifted the lid. Inside was a delicate gold bracelet. Simple, elegant, beautiful. "Dante, I can't accept this," she said quickly. "You can. And you will." His voice was firm. "You've worked yourself to exhaustion for this event. Let me thank you properly. This is too much." "It's not enough," he interrupted. "But it's a start." She looked up at him, and the intensity in his eyes made her knees weak. "Turn around," he said quietly. She hesitated, then obeyed. He took the bracelet from the box and fastened it around her wrist, his fingers brushing her skin in a touch that sent electricity up her arm. "There," he murmured. "Perfect." She turned back to face him, and they stood there, inches apart, the dining room glowing with candlelight around them. "Your guests will be here soon," she whispered. "I know. I should make sure everything's ready." "It is." Neither of them moved. The doorbell rang, shattering the moment. Dante stepped back, and Adriana saw him pull that controlled mask back into place. The powerful man, the host, the Castellano heir. "Showtime," he said. She nodded and slipped out of the dining room, retreating to the kitchen where she could oversee the service without being seen. That was her role, the invisible hand that made everything perfect. But as the evening progressed, and she watched Dante move through his guests with charm and authority, she couldn't stop touching the bracelet on her wrist. Couldn't stop thinking about the way he looked at her. Couldn't stop wanting something she absolutely shouldn't want. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. The dinner was flawless. Every course perfectly timed. Every wine expertly paired. Every conversation flowing smoothly. Adriana stayed in the kitchen, coordinating with the chef and servers, making sure everything ran like clockwork. She caught glimpses of Dante through the doorway. He was in his element, commanding the room without effort. His guests were powerful people, she could tell. The kind who carry themselves with wealth and influence. And Dante was their equal. Maybe their superior. Around 9:30, one of the servers came back looking flustered. "Miss Cole, there's a situation." Adriana's stomach dropped. "What kind of situation?" "One of the guests is asking for you specifically." "A Mr. Salvatore." Her blood ran cold. Salvatore. She knew that name. Everyone in New York knew that name. Antonio Salvatore was one of the most powerful men in the city. He controlled half the construction contracts, had judges in his pocket, and was rumored to have connections that went all the way to the governor's office. "Why does he want to see me?" Adriana asked carefully. The server shook his head. "He didn't say. Just asked Mr. Castellano, who planned the event, and said he wanted to meet you." Adriana's mind raced. This could be good, a connection that could lead to more work, or very bad, depending on what Salvatore wanted. "Tell him I'll be right there," she said. She smoothed her dress, checked her reflection in the polished steel of the refrigerator, and walked into the dining room. 20 faces turned toward her, 20 pairs of eyes assessing, judging, measuring. Adriana kept her spine straight and her expression professional. Dante caught her eye from across the table. His expression was carefully neutral, but she saw the tension in his shoulders. An older man at the far end of the table stood. He was in his 60s, silver-haired, wearing a suit that probably cost more than her car. "You must be Miss Cole," he said, his voice smooth and practiced. "I am. It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Salvatore. The pleasure is mine. This dinner is extraordinary. One of the finest I've attended in years. Thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it." He walked around the table toward her, and she felt the entire room watching. "You have a remarkable talent," Salvatore continued. "I'm hosting a gala next month. 500 guests, a very important event. I'd like to hire you." Adriana's heart jumped. 500 guests. That was 10 times bigger than anything she'd done before. The exposure alone would be worth a fortune. "I'd be honored," she said carefully. "If you'd like to discuss details, I can give you my card. Actually, Salvatore interrupted, I'd like to discuss it now. Step outside with me for a moment. Every instinct in her body screamed warning. I'm in the middle of service, she said politely. Perhaps after dinner? It will only take a moment, Salvatore pressed, his smile still in place but his tone harder. I'm a busy man, Miss Cole. When I see talent, I act quickly. She felt trapped. Refusing would be rude, possibly insulting. But going with him alone felt wrong. Before she could answer, Dante stood. Antonio, he said, voice calm but carrying weight. Miss Cole is working. If you want to discuss business, you can do it here, or you can schedule a meeting through proper channels. Salvatore's smile didn't falter, but his eyes hardened. I was simply offering the young lady an opportunity. And she heard you. She'll consider it and contact you if she's interested. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Adriana held her breath. Salvatore looked at Dante, then at Adriana, then back to Dante. I see, he said slowly. She's under your protection. She's my guest, Dante corrected. And in my home, I expect everyone to be treated with respect. Salvatore's jaw tightened. Then he forced another smile. Of course. My apologies if I overstepped, Miss Cole. No apology necessary, Adriana said quickly, trying to defuse the tension. I appreciate the offer. Please enjoy the rest of your dinner. She walked back into the kitchen, heart pounding, hands shaking. What the hell just happened? The rest of the dinner passed without incident. Guests left one by one, offering compliments and thanks. By 11:30, the penthouse was empty except for the cleanup crew. And Dante. And Adriana. She was in the kitchen, helping the chef pack up the last of the supplies, when Dante appeared in the doorway. Can I talk to you? She nodded and followed him into the living room. The city glittered outside the windows. The dining room behind them was dark, candles extinguished, flowers glowing softly in the dim light. I'm sorry about Salvatore, Dante said quietly. He was out of line. You didn't have to defend me. I could have handled it. I know you could have. But you shouldn't have had to. Adriana crossed her arms. What did he mean when he said I was under your protection? Dante's jaw flexed. It's complicated. Try me. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, in my world, there are unspoken rules. If someone shows interest in a woman connected to a powerful man, they back off. Salvatore was testing boundaries, seeing if you were available. Her stomach twisted. Available for what? Business. Or other things. Anger flared hot in her chest. So he thought he could just corner me? No. He thought he could until I made it clear he couldn't. By claiming me. By protecting you. There's a difference. Her voice rose, slightly. Dante stepped closer. Yes. Claiming you would mean telling everyone you belong to me. Protecting you means making it clear that no one touches you without consequences. I don't need your protection, Dante. Maybe not, but you have it anyway. She stared at him, frustrated and confused, and something else she didn't want to name. This is exactly why I shouldn't have taken this job, she said. This is why I should have said no from the beginning. Why didn't you? Because I needed the money. Bullshit. She flinched. Excuse me. He closed the distance between them. You took this job because you felt what I felt. You knew there was something between us from the first night we met. And you wanted to see where it would go as much as I did. That's not true. Isn't it? His eyes bore into hers, dark and intense and impossibly focused. Dante, she whispered. This can't happen. Why not? Because I'm not part of your world. Because your life is dangerous and complicated and I can't. You can, he interrupted. If you want to. I don't know what I want. The confession burst out of her, raw and honest. Dante's expression softened. He reached up slowly, giving her time to pull away, and cupped her face in his hand. Then let me help you figure it out, he said quietly. Her breath shook. How? Stay. Tonight. Just talk to me. No expectations, no pressure. Just you and me in honest conversation. Every rational part of her brain screamed to say no. To leave now while she still could. To protect herself from whatever this was between them. But the part of her that had been alone for so long, that had been invisible for so long, that had been aching for someone to really see her, whispered something different. Okay, she breathed. I'll stay. Dante's shoulders relaxed, and something warm flickered in his eyes. Thank you, he said. And as he led her to the couch by the windows, Adriana knew with absolute certainty that everything was about to change. They sat on opposite ends of the couch, the city sprawling beneath them like a carpet of lights. Dante had poured them each a glass of wine, though neither had touched it much. Adriana tucked her legs beneath her, suddenly aware of how intimate this felt. How quiet the penthouse was without the noise of guests and servers. How alone they were. Ask me anything, Dante said, breaking the silence. She looked at him. Anything. Yes. I told you I wanted to be honest with you. So ask. Adriana took a breath. Are you dangerous? He didn't flinch. Yes. Have you hurt people? Yes. Killed people. His jaw tightened. I've made decisions that led to people getting hurt. I've protected my family when necessary. I won't lie to you about what that means. She absorbed that, feeling the weight of it. Does that scare you? What you've become? Something flickered in his eyes. Surprise, maybe. That she asked about his feelings instead of judging his actions. Sometimes, he admitted. Late at night, when it's quiet, I think about all the choices I've made. All the lines I've crossed. And I wonder if there's any going back. Do you want to go back? He looked at her for a long moment. I didn't. Until I met you. Her breath caught. Dante, I'm not saying I can change everything, he continued. My family, my responsibilities, they're not things I can walk away from. But you make me want to be better. Cleaner. Someone worthy of the way you look at me. How do I look at you? Like I'm a man, not a monster. Tears stung her eyes. She blinked them back. You're not a monster. You don't know everything I've done. I know enough, she said softly. I know you defended me tonight. I know you made sure I ate dinner. I know you gave me a bracelet that probably cost more than I make in 3 months, just because you wanted to thank me. Monsters don't do those things. Dante's throat worked. He set down his wine glass and leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Adriana, if you get close to me, there will be risks. People like Salvatore will always test boundaries. Rivals will look for weaknesses. The press will dig into your past. Your life will never be completely private again. Is that supposed to scare me away? It's supposed to make you understand what you'd be choosing. She was quiet for a moment. Then, can I ask you something else? Always. What do you want from me? Really? He turned his head to look at her, and the vulnerability in his expression nearly broke her. Everything, he said quietly. I want to know what makes you laugh. What you dream about. What you look like first thing in the morning. I want to take you to dinner and not have it be business. I want to wake up and know you're safe. I want. He stopped himself, shaking his head. What? She pressed. I want you to choose me. Not because I'm powerful or because I can give you security, but because you want me the same way I want you. Adriana's heart hammered against her ribs. I barely know you. Then get to know me. Give me time. Give us time. She looked down at the bracelet on her wrist, the gold catching the light. This is crazy. 2 weeks ago, I didn't even know your first name. And now I can't stop thinking about you, she admitted. And that terrifies me. Dante moved closer, not touching her, but close enough that she could feel the warmth radiating from him. I'm terrified too, he said. I've never felt this way about anyone. Never wanted someone to see all of me, good and bad, and still choose to stay. What if I can't handle your world? Then we'll figure it out together. But don't decide you can't before you even try. She looked up at him, and the intensity in his eyes made her dizzy. I need time, she whispered. To think. To process all of this. Take all the time you need, he said. But Adriana. Yes. I'm not going anywhere. And I'm not giving up on this. She left an hour later, after they talked about safer things. Her childhood, his grandmother's cooking, the worst events they'd each worked or attended. Dante insisted on driving her home again. This time, when they pulled up to her building, he didn't make a move to get out. Thank you, Adriana said, for everything. The event was perfect. It was perfect because of you. She smiled softly, then reached for the door handle. Adriana! She looked back. That bracelet. It has my phone number engraved on the inside. If you ever need anything, Any time of day or night, you call me. Her chest tightened. Dante! I mean it. Anything. She nodded, not trusting her voice, and got out of the car. This time, he didn't follow her. Just waited until she was safely inside before driving away. The next morning, Adriana woke to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. Her heart stopped. Had something happened? Was someone hurt? She grabbed her phone and started reading. Most of the messages were from Maya. Maya girl. Maya girl. Maya, check page 6. Maya, call me right now. With shaking hands, Adriana opened her browser and searched for page 6. The headline made her blood run cold. Castellano heir claims mystery woman at private dinner. Below it was a photo. Slightly blurry, clearly taken from outside Dante's building with a telephoto lens. But unmistakably her, standing close to Dante in his penthouse, his hand on her face. The article was worse. Sources say Dante Castellano, youngest son of the notorious Castellano family, was seen in an intimate moment with an unidentified woman last night following an exclusive dinner party. The woman, believed to be in her late 20s, was later seen leaving Castellano's building after all other guests had departed. When asked for comment, a family spokesperson declined. But witnesses say Castellano made it clear during the dinner that the mystery woman was under his protection, leading to speculation about the nature of their relationship. Adriana's phone rang. Maya. She answered. I can explain. Are you dating a mafia boss? He's not. I'm not. It's complicated. Adriana Cole, you have 30 seconds to tell me everything, or I'm coming over there. Adriana collapsed on her couch and told her everything. The event, the job offer, the dinners, the bracelet, the conversation last night. Maya was silent for a long moment. Then, holy shit. I know. Do you like him? I don't know. Yes. Maybe. I don't know. Does he like you? He says he does. Then what's the problem? What's the problem? Adriana nearly shouted. Maya, look at that article. My face is on page 6. People know I'm connected to him now. Do you have any idea what that means for my career? My family? My life? It means you're dating a powerful, gorgeous man who clearly adores you. It means I'm a target. Maya's voice softened. Sweetie, are you scared of him? Or scared of what people will think? Adriana opened her mouth, then closed it. That's what I thought, Maya said gently. Look, I know this is overwhelming. But from everything you've told me, he sounds like a man who genuinely cares about you. And when was the last time anyone made you feel the way he does? Never, Adriana whispered. Exactly. So maybe stop overthinking and just see where this goes. After they hung up, Adriana sat in silence, staring at the photo on her screen. She looked happy in that picture. Soft. Open. She looked like a woman falling in love. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Unknown. I'm sorry about the article. I'm handling it. Please don't let this scare you away. D. She stared at the message for a long time. Then she typed back. Adriana, how did you get my number? Dante, I've had it since the day you agreed to work for me. I just never used it unless it was about business. Adriana, and now? Dante, now I'm hoping you'll let me use it for other reasons. Her heart fluttered. Adriana, my phone has been ringing nonstop. 3 people I went to college with have texted me. My mother called twice. I don't even know what to tell them. Dante, tell them the truth. That you met someone. That he's imperfect and complicated, but he cares about you more than he's cared about anyone in a very long time. Adriana, that's not going to satisfy them. Dante, does it satisfy you? She stared at that question for a long time. Adriana, I need to see you. In person. We need to talk about what happens next. Dante, when? Adriana, tonight. Your place. 7 p.m. Dante, I'll be waiting. Adriana spent the rest of the day preparing. Not for an event, but for a conversation that would determine the rest of her life. She called her mother and gave her a sanitized version of events. Yes, she'd met someone. No, he wasn't dangerous. Yes, she was being careful. No, she couldn't explain everything over the phone. She ignored 17 more calls from people she barely knew. She showered, dressed in jeans and a simple sweater, nothing fancy, and took the subway to Dante's building. His driver was waiting in the lobby. "Miss Cole, Mr. Castellano is expecting you." She rode the elevator up, heart pounding harder with each floor. When the doors opened, Dante was standing there. No suit tonight, just jeans and a black t-shirt. He looked younger, more vulnerable. "Hi," he said softly. "Hi." They stood there for a moment, just looking at each other. Then Adriana said, "I read the article." "I know. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. Just tell me the truth. Can you really protect me from all of this? The press, the attention, the people who will want to use me to get to you." "Yes." "How can you be sure?" "Because I've been protecting people my entire life. It's what I do." She stepped into the penthouse. "That's not good enough. I need details. I need to know exactly what being with you means." Dante closed the door and followed her into the living room. "Sit, please." She sat. He sat across from her, the same position as before. "If we do this," he began, "if you choose to be with me, here's what will happen. First, my family will have you vetted. They'll run a background check, make sure you're not a threat or a liability. It's not personal, it's protocol." Adriana nodded, stomach tight. "Second, there will be security. Not obvious, but present. Someone will always know where you are, not to control you, but to make sure you're safe. I don't like the idea of being watched. I know, but it's non-negotiable. The people in my world don't play fair. If they think they can use you to hurt me, they will." She swallowed hard. "What else?" "Your life will change. People will recognize you. The press will dig into your past. Your family might be contacted. It won't be easy." "And what do I get in return?" she asked quietly. His expression softened. "Me. All of me. My time, my attention, my protection, my loyalty. I'll support your career, respect your boundaries, and do everything in my power to make you happy." "That sounds too good to be true." "It's not perfect. I'm not perfect. There will be nights when I have to work late, handle business you can't know about. There will be times when my family demands things I can't refuse. But I will never lie to you. And I will never make you feel like you're second to anything." Adriana looked down at her hands, at the bracelet still on her wrist. "I'm scared," she admitted, "of losing myself, of becoming just Dante Castellano's girlfriend instead of Adriana Cole, event planner." He leaned forward. "You could never be just anything. You're the woman who built a career from nothing, who works harder than anyone I know, who looks at me like I'm worth something beyond my name. You are worth something beyond your name. Then prove it. Choose me anyway." Her eyes met his, and she saw everything she'd been feeling reflected back at her. Fear, hope, desire, uncertainty. "What if this doesn't work?" she whispered. "Then we'll have tried, and we'll walk away knowing we gave it everything. What if I can't handle your world? Then I'll change my world. For you." Tears filled her eyes. "You can't promise that." "Watch me." He stood and crossed to her, kneeling in front of the couch, so they were eye level. "Adriana," he said, taking her hands in his. "I know this is fast. I know it's crazy. I know every logical part of you is screaming to run. But I'm asking you to stay anyway. Take a chance on me. On us. And if it doesn't work, if you hate it, if you want out, I'll let you go. No questions, no consequences. You'd really let me go? I'd hate it. But yes." She looked at their joined hands, at the way his thumb traced circles on her palm. "I need one promise from you," she said. "Anything. Never make me feel like I'm owned. Never take away my choices. Never make decisions for me without asking first. I promise. And if I say I need space, you give it to me. I promise. And if this gets too dangerous, if I feel like I'm in over my head, you help me get out safely. I promise." She took a shaky breath. "Okay." His eyes widened. "Okay. I'll try. With you. With us." The relief that washed over his face was so profound it nearly broke her. "Thank you," he breathed. Then he pulled her into his arms, holding her tight against his chest, and Adriana felt something inside her settle. This was crazy, reckless, possibly the worst decision she'd ever made. But it felt right. They spent the rest of the evening talking. Really talking. About childhoods and fears and dreams, and all the small details that make up a life. Dante told her about growing up in a family where weakness meant death. About learning to hide emotions, to calculate every move, to never trust anyone completely. Adriana told him about watching her parents lose everything and vowing never to depend on anyone else for her security. About building walls, so high no one could see the lonely girl inside. "We're both pretty damaged," she said with a small laugh. "Maybe that's why this works," Dante replied. "We understand each other." Around midnight, Adriana yawned despite herself. "You should stay," Dante said immediately. "Dante, in the guest room," he clarified. "It's late, and I don't want you traveling alone." She hesitated, then nodded. "Okay." He showed her to a bedroom that was bigger than her entire apartment. Plush bed, soft linens, a bathroom with a shower that probably cost more than her car. "There are clothes in the closet if you need them," he said. "And if you need anything, I'm right down the hall." "Thank you." He started to leave, then turned back. "Adriana." "Yes. I meant everything I said tonight." "I know." He smiled, small and genuine, then closed the door behind him. Adriana changed into one of his t-shirts, which hung to her knees, and climbed into the massive bed. She should have felt out of place, should have felt uncomfortable. Instead, she felt safe. She woke to the smell of coffee and something sweet. Adriana padded out of the bedroom in bare feet, following the scent to the kitchen. Dante stood at the stove, making pancakes. He changed into sweatpants and a t-shirt. His hair was slightly messy. He looked domestic and dangerous all at once. "Morning," he said when he saw her. "Hungry?" She smiled. "Starving." They ate breakfast together, talking about nothing important and everything important. Plans for the day, her next client meeting, his schedule. It felt normal. Easy. It felt like the beginning of something real. After breakfast, Dante said, "I need to tell my family about you." Adriana's stomach dropped. "Already? They'll have seen the article. Better they hear it from me first." "What will you tell them?" He took her hand across the table. "The truth. That I've met someone. That she's important to me. That they need to respect her. And if they don't approve, they'll approve," he said firmly. "Because the alternative is losing me." Her chest tightened. "You'd really choose me over your family?" "I'd really try to make them see there's no choice to make. You're not a threat. You're not a liability. You're the woman I care about, and they'll accept that." 3 months later, Adriana stood in Dante's penthouse, looking out over the city that had become her second home. The last 3 months had been a whirlwind. Meeting his family, who were surprisingly warm once they understood she wasn't after money or status. Adjusting to security that kept a discreet distance, but was always present. Learning to navigate the press attention that came in waves. Her business had exploded. The publicity from dating Dante had brought in more clients than she could handle. She'd hired 2 assistants and was planning events for some of the most powerful people in New York. But more than that, she'd found something she didn't know she was missing. Partnership. Dante kept every promise. He supported her career, respected her boundaries, made time for her despite his impossible schedule. He introduced her to his world slowly, carefully, always making sure she felt safe. And Adriana discovered that being with a man like Dante Castellano wasn't about losing herself. It was about being seen completely and loved anyway. "What are you thinking about?" She turned. Dante had come home early, still in his suit, loosening his tie as he walked toward her. "How much my life has changed," she said. "In a good way." She smiled. "In the best way." He wrapped his arms around her from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. "I love you," he said quietly. "I should have said it sooner, but I was waiting for the right moment." Her heart stopped. "Dante, you don't have to say it back. Not until you're ready. I just needed you to know." She turned in his arms, looking up at him. At the man who had defended her, protected her, challenged her, supported her. The man who had seen her when she was invisible to everyone else. "I love you too," she whispered. His eyes closed briefly, relief and joy washing over his face. Then he cupped her face in his hands and kissed her. Not the first kiss. That had come weeks ago, soft and tentative and perfect. This was different. This was a promise, a claim, a future. When they pulled apart, both breathless, Dante pressed his forehead to hers. "Move in with me," he said. What? Move in. Officially. Stop splitting time between your apartment and here. Just stay. Adriana's heart raced. That's a big step. I know, but I'm ready for it. The question is, are you? She thought about her tiny apartment in Brooklyn, about the life she built alone, the walls she constructed, the safety she'd found in independence. Then she thought about waking up next to Dante, about building something together, about choosing partnership over protection. Yes, she said. I'm ready. Dante smiled, the real smile he only gave her, and kissed her again. 6 months after that, the charity gala was in full swing. 500 guests, exactly as Antonio Salvatore had wanted when he'd approached Adriana that night in Dante's penthouse. She turned down the job initially, but when Salvatore had apologized publicly and formally, respecting the boundaries Dante had set, Adriana had reconsidered. This event was her masterpiece, her largest, most complex project, and it was flawless. Dante stood beside her, hand resting possessively on the small of her back as they watched guests admire the decorations. You've outdone yourself, he murmured in her ear. I had a good reason to, she replied. I wanted to prove I earned this success. Not just because I'm with you. Everyone here knows that already. They hired you because you're the best. She leaned into him slightly. Have I told you today that I love you? Not in the last 3 hours. She smiled. I love you. I love you more. Impossible. He turned her to face him, right there in the middle of the gala, surrounded by New York's elite. Adriana Cole, he said, loud enough that people nearby turned to look. You turned me down in front of everyone. You made me work for every moment of your time. You refused to make anything easy for me. Her heart started to pound. Dante, what are you? He dropped to one knee. The room went silent. Adriana's hands flew to her mouth as Dante pulled out a small velvet box. You challenged me. You changed me. You made me want to be better. And I don't want to spend another day without knowing you're mine forever. He opened the box. Inside was a ring that took her breath away. Simple, elegant, perfect. Adriana Cole, will you marry me? Tears streamed down her face. The same woman who had been invisible, who had planned beautiful moments for others, but never thought she'd have her own. Yes, she whispered. Then louder, yes. Dante stood, slipping the ring onto her finger, and pulled her into a kiss as the entire room erupted in applause. When they broke apart, both laughing and crying, Adriana looked at the man who had seen her when no one else did. The man who had respected her boundaries, even when it cost him. The man who had loved her not despite her walls, but because of what she'd built beyond them. I can't believe this is my life, she said. Dante smiled, wiping a tear from her cheek. Believe it, because it's just the beginning. And as they stood there, surrounded by the event she created, the life she'd built, and the love they'd chosen, Adriana knew one thing with absolute certainty. She had turned down the Mafia boss in front of everyone, and his pride had made him want her even more. But in the end, it wasn't about pride or power or possession. It was about a man and a woman who saw each other completely, and chose each other anyway. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you love this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.